Stop letting invisible flankers ruin your win rate and send you back to the garage early. We've all been there, holding a strong line, bouncing shells, only to get clipped from a ghost in the rear. Most players look at the minimap, but very few actually see the disaster waiting to happen in those empty gaps. Today, we're mastering the art of predicting rotations before a single shell is fired. This is Jack, Wotb, and it's time to stop reacting and start predicting. Section 1, the science of missing information. In Blitz, an empty sector on your minimap is actually more dangerous than a spotted enemy. When you see 5 tanks on the hill, your brain shouldn't just focus on the targets you can shoot. It should immediately ask, where are the other 2? This isn't just a guessing game, it's a calculation. If a Vickers Light or a Bat Chat hasn't been spotted 45 seconds into a match on a map like Middleburg, they aren't AFK. They are likely 75% of the way through a deep flank. Think about the travel times for different classes. A light tank can cross half the map in under 20 seconds. If you're sitting in an AT-8, that's less time than it takes you to turn your hull around. You need to visualize the enemy's progress through the fog of war as a ticking clock. If that clock hits 0 and you haven't seen them, they are already behind you. We also have to talk about phantom pressure. This is the psychological effect created by high alpha TDs like the FV215B183 or the JG. Pesa. E100 disappearing from the map. When they drop off the radar, they aren't just invisible targets, they become zones of denial. Their absence forces you to play conservatively, which is exactly what a smart opponent wants. Learning to recognize when a TD is repositioning versus when they are baiting you into a crossfire is what separates the average player from the masters. Section 2. Decoding heavy tank distribution. Watch the heavy force. In Wotb, the heavy tanks are the anchors of the map. If you see the enemy's heaviest armor committing heavily to a specific lane, they haven't just reinforced that side. They've left a vacuum elsewhere. Use these primary engagement zones to deduce the position of the missing tanks. If 4 enemy heavies are spotted in the town, it's a statistical certainty that their support is either directly behind them or moving to the opposite flank to prevent a wraparound. The key is identifying the difference between a stalled push and a bait. In your IS-3 games, you've seen those moments where the enemy team has a clear health advantage but refuses to push. Often, players mistake this for cowardice or bot-like behavior. In reality, it's frequently a tactical pause. They are waiting for their light and medium tanks to finish a rotation. If you push into that stall, you're walking directly into a hammer and anvil strike. Instead of charging in, use that time to look at the lanes of transit. If you are the lone heavy on a flank and you don't see support coming, you need to recognize that the enemy's distribution is designed to isolate you. The moment you see more than 3 enemy tanks commit to one side, you should already be planning your exit strategy or finding a hardcover anchor that prevents you from being circled. Section 3. Predicting rotation windows. There is a critical 30-second window that occurs after a primary brawl ends. The survivors of that fight aren't going to sit in the open. They are immediately relocating to the next point of impact. Most players stay focused on the spot where the enemy was, but you need to be looking at the map transit hubs, those chokes and tunnels that connect the lanes. If a med just finished a fight at C on desert sands, you can bet they are heading through the dunes toward B within 15 seconds. You also need to become an expert at tracking health pool depletion, not just for the enemies, but for your own team. If your weak side is losing HP rapidly, don't wait for the ally destroyed notification. You need to anticipate the collapse at least 10 seconds before it happens. If your light tank on the flank has dropped from 100% to 20% in one reload cycle, the flank is already gone. Start your counter rotation then. This proactive movement is what wins games. If you wait until the enemy is spotted behind you, it's too late, especially in slower vehicles. By monitoring the rhythm of the battle, the bursts of gunfire followed by silence, you can predict exactly when the enemy is in motion. A silent map is often a map where the enemy is rotating. Use those quiet moments to scan the horizon and adjust your hull to face the most likely route of arrival. Section 4. Aggressive counter-positioning. Shift your mindset from reactive defending to proactive intercepting. Instead of waiting to be shot and then turning, take high ground vision spots early. Use terrain depressions and hard cover to nullify the incoming flankers before they even get a shot off. A pro tip: time your pre-aim on unspotted corners based on the last known speed of the target. If a leopard was last seen at the bridge going full speed, and it's been 8 seconds, you know exactly when his nose will poke around the next corner. This is where blind firing comes into play as a tactical tool, not just a lucky guess. If you've tracked a rotation correctly, you can often catch a paper-thin medium tank off guard just as they enter a common bush or corner. Even if you don't hit, the shell flying past them signals that you are aware of their presence. This alone can often stall an entire flank, as the enemy realizes they've lost the element of surprise. Furthermore, positioning isn't just about where you are, but how you're angled. If you suspect a flank, start angling your strongest armor toward that empty gap, while still keeping your gun active on the spotted targets. It's a balancing act, but in a tank like the IS-7, managing those two directions simultaneously is the difference between a 4K damage game and a quick trip to the garage. Maintaining tactical dominance. In conclusion, communication is your final weapon. Don't just ping the map when you're being shot. Use map pings before the enemy is spotted to warn your team. A simple